What up, fam? We back here at Rep 3 Studios for Soliloquies and OKC Story. And in this one, we getting into track 5, Monster. One of my favorite tracks from the album. It's got like a rock influence on, like a metal rock influence on it. And man, I had to do my thing over it. So yeah, if you saw the previous one, we just got done talking about Menace. That was track 4 on that album. And if you haven't checked it out, man, check it out. We got these video podcasts. We got this on Spotify as well for audio only. If you are listening to the audio only, you definitely want to tap into the video at some point so you can see all the stuff we're looking at, because it's going to sound like we're looking at stuff. We are looking at stuff. So, a lot of the reference materials, inspirations, and things inspired this album. And so as we've been doing on this, once again, stream it, run it up. Album's out there everywhere now, including upcoming blockchain-based platforms. And we also have digital collectibles and everything like that out there as well in our shop. So once again, the link is in the bio, link is in the description or wherever this is at to get to all of that fun stuff, okay? And as we've been doing, we're going to start this one by diving into the tarot cards for Trump Major Arcana number 5, okay, which is traditionally called the Hierophant. And once again, we're using some of my favorite decks and the ones that I use. Tarot de Marseille, the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck, Kim Crane's Wild Unknown Tarot, and Aleister Crowley, Frida Harris deck, Tau Tarot deck, all right? So with that, let's take a look at these as we've been doing. So we're going to start off with the Marseille deck, okay? So moving more from antiquity to modernity, I guess if you would want to say that. So, bow here, the Pepe, or the Pope, all right? So this is known as the Hierophant in more modern decks, okay? As you can see, you have a Pope figure there, speaking to, a couple individuals, all right? And giving the sign of the benediction, all right? Between the Twin Towers as well. More Twin Towers, all right? 11s, yeah. So that's for the Marseille deck. We also have Bow, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Once again, it looks very similar. Pope figure. It's called the Hierophant here. So in the benediction, and then that particular cross. I forget the name of it, but we'll come to it, I'm sure, in Mr. Ziegler's book. So once again, a figure between two towers and two individuals, all right? Like a preacher type figure. Then we have one of my favorite illustrations of this, actually. I think this is a beautiful illustration of this energy and this archetype. The Harris, Crowley Frida Harris version. Look at this. It's definitely a new age Pope, Pope of the new eon, Hierophant of the new eon. So got bulls and, stars and a lot of esoteric symbols on there, the eagles, the elephants, so all kind of stuff. We'll get into it. And then the Kim Crane's one, I like this one too. Once again, it's like animals and stuff, So this is like the raven holding a key with a lightning bolt. Lightning bolt is particularly sacred to this album, being, striking Split Mountain and other things like that in the cover. And also the raven, I love Edgar Allan Poe, the raven, and he has a famous quote. So I don't know if it's from that story or another one, but all we see is but a dream within a dream. So yeah, shout out to Poe, man. All right, so with that, ladies out here, and let's get into, what Mr. Gary Ziegler has to say in his book, Tarot, Mirror of the Soul, Handbook for Aleister Crowley Taught Tarot. Let us see. And of course, I got my top pen here, so woo, let's roll. Hey, all right. So, the keywords for this one: Taurus, spiritual master, teacher, advisor, initiate, inner guide, spiritual father, highest transformation. This card is ruled by Taurus. The throne of the initiate is a bull surrounded by 2 elephants, whose nature is the same as that of the bull. The 4 cherubim, guardians of the altar, are found in the 4 corners of the picture. Bull, lion, eagle, person, representing the different aspects of being. Taurus, the bull, is symbolic of earth. Matter, the physical. Leo, the lion, represents the element fire, the capacity for intuition, willpower, and dynamism. The person represents the element air, Aquarius, the mental spiritual plane. The eagle represents the highest transformation and is connected with the element water, Scorpio, the realm of the emotions. The Hierophant has united all these elements in himself and has brought them to full expression. So in track 11, I have a line, feeling like I'm Avatar Aang, really witty. So Avatar Aang, Avatar combining all the elements from Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Nickelodeon show, and feeling like I'm Avatar Aang, really witty. And so We also talked about the elements and the album cover of this. And let's see here. Yeah, the elements and the album cover on this. All right. And everything, coming together. So this is just another representation of that. And, also in track 5, I'll have a line, pilgrimage to Mecca, work the sand like I was Gara. Gara could control the sand. So another, once again, just reference to elements and alchemy and everything that's flowing through this album. So, he is the awakened one, the fulfilled, the enlightened. He's a true spiritual master who acts as the intermediary between the human and the divine. He is a spirit made flesh, the bull, or the final stage of human development in which the human is united with the godly. The woman who stands before him holding the crescent moon and a sword is Venus, ruler of Taurus. She holds the symbols for wisdom and emotion, a sign that these are in balance. The Hierophant has united the female and the male within himself and evolved each fully. So if you remember back to the Empress card, and we were looking at track 3, old school, it says something along the lines of when a female has fully integrated the male aspects of herself, she'll become something, whole and much greater. So we can see that here, a taste of it in the Hierophant. Okay. And so, he's naked, unprotected, vulnerable, full of, when the male and female are united, the child Horus is born. Okay, so once again, Horus, Haru, my name, and this exposition of the new eon, of the eon of Horus. Okay, so this is just an amalgamation of it. So as we move further into this album, we're moving from menace to monster, and once again, remember menace, it starts to get more menacing and monstrous. So monstrous is like we're starting to get to more of the powerful emotions, feelings, and synchronicities going through the dark night of the soul. Okay, and as you can imagine, this is embodied in a spiritual master or like a pope type figure who has knowledge of all, right? Appears to have knowledge of all and has united all. So he is naked, unprotected, vulnerable, full of openness and trust in existence. He represents true wisdom expressed in the natural innocence of a child. Anyone who spends time in the presence of a Hierophant is touched by this quality. All defense mechanisms must be dropped in order to come fully into contact with his being. His head is surrounded by 5 white rose petals, symbolic of love in its purest, most perfect form. This is the love which can see the other and give what is really needed at that moment. It may not always be something the other wants or wishes. A true master does not fulfill the disciple's wishes. Truth is a provocation which can shake us out of the heavy, sweet sleep of unconsciousness. Only those who are free of self-seeking motivation can wield the truth in this way, like Jesus whipping the moneylenders out of the temple. The serpent of transformation at the top of the painting is touched by 9 nails. They are reminiscent of the crown of thorns, a reminder of the pain and suffering which accompany every transformation. True transformation can happen only in an attitude of receptiveness, the bull, sensitivity, the dove, trust, and in surrender to divine love. The dark background emphasizes the function of the Hierophant, who brings the light of consciousness into the darkness of ignorance. Okay, so the light bringer, all right, biblically, this is could be symbolized as like a Lucifer as well, who's also described as a monster, fallen angel. So more symbolism into all of this and into this track title. So the indications here, once again, why do I like this book? Because if I showed it, it has like keywords. Go ahead, you can see. Wow. Has keywords. It has indications, suggestions, questions, affirmations. Right, love that. So, indication. The search for the self leads you into spiritual realms. This card can point to a meeting with a spiritual teacher or master. Be open. See, I love the suggestion on this one. Involve yourself with the teachings of spiritual masters. Seek the presence of a master or teacher. Involve yourself with groups of personal growth. Right, so those are good suggestions. And the affirmation, there's only one voice worth listening to, the voice of my own heart. So once again, going to the dark night of the soul, the individuation process, learning how to listen to your personal guardian angel, your soul, your heart, right? Just part of the process. So some considerations there, and how this particular lyrics and everything came apart for this one. Okay, and just a bunch of synchronicities and stuff, once again, that I found after the fact that I recorded it. So let's go ahead and dive into this one, and we'll jump into bars and lyrics like we've been doing. So track 5, Monster, let's go.
Here we go. One more time.
Yeah.
What up?
Yeah.
How you feeling? Motivated mindset got me moving like a monster. Speaking at Medusa, that Minerva, that Morgana. Told
out my ring here. Wow. All right. So, motivated mindset got me moving like a monster. Speaking that Medusa, that Minerva, that Morgana. Told them on the last one how I'm a menace, yeah, a monster. Mind over matter, metaphysics, that's the mantra. All right. So, motivated mindset got me moving like a monster. You know, it's like when you motivated, you know that feeling is like whatever you want to get done, nothing's gonna stand in your way. You almost become monster-like in the attainment of your goal. So motivated at this point in the story, you know, I'm moving like a monster. Whether you know, I'm going in, I'm focused on my goals, and it's got me moving that way. Speaking that Medusa, that Minerva, that Morgana. You know, once again, I'm just referencing biblical, mythological, historical, you know, characters. So. Speaking that Medusa, obviously the Gorgon, it was the Gorgon who had the snakes, and you look at her turn to stone. Minerva, right? Also, I think Athena and Greek or Roman. One of them's Roman, one of them's Greek, but anyway, one of the gods, you know, god of wisdom, okay? And then you also have Morgana, who, this one was, I was thinking like Morgan Le Fay, the famous sorceress, and, you know, could be considered a monster, I guess, depending on who's looking at it. And also, Morgana is in a video game. It's escaping me the name of the game right now. Gosh, computer game. Anyway, look her up. You know, it's a monster type female character. So I want to do that because the combination of the male and the female, you know, looking back on it, I can see why those elements came forward more in the writing of the song. I didn't think at the time I was just connecting words, and I wanted to connect, you know, different things. But in reading that, you know, we can see that it's a combination of the male and the female and the divine knowledge, you know, mind over matter, metaphysics, that's the mantra. So once again, a pope, a hierophant, you know, mind over matter. They into spiritual laws, spiritual rules. So that's how it works. They don't worry about the other shit. So let's keep going.
Making money moves like I'm Scrooge McDuck. Looking like a acting up the dollars. Making money moves like I'm Scrooge menace, yeah, a monster. Mind over matter, metaphysics, that's the mantra. Saying on my job got me stacking up the dollars.
Yeah.
Making money moves like I'm Scrooge McDuck. Looking like Aladdin, but I'm feeling like Mufasa. Looking like the stairway up to heaven's getting low.
So staying on my job got me stacking up the dollars. Excuse me. Making money moves like I'm Scrooge McDuck or Hoffa. You know, pilgrimage to so I wanted to reference several characters once again throughout pop culture and history, video games, mythology, and everything like that. So staying on my job got me stacking up the dollars. So you working, you stacking up dollars, you motivated, making money moves. I got Scrooge McDuck, a Hoffa, right? So Hoffa from the Teamsters, and of course Scrooge McDuck from Disney. You know, so making money moves, stacking up the money. Yeah, let's keep going. And once again, these are kind of like, I'm bringing a lot of characters in here, almost like mythological monster type characters to go along with the theme too. So
looking like Aladdin, but I'm feeling like Mufasa. Looking like the stairway up to heaven's getting longer.
So Aladdin, also there's a genie, right? Genie in the bottle. It's a confessions track, and of course, oh, look who's on the screen right now. Aladdin and Genie, Kingdom Hearts. Perfect. Yeah. So you know, we out here, nice little synchronicity right there.
Listening to the Reverend and the Moolah and the Llama. Got me flowing like the.
Oh yeah, I was feeling like Mufasa, so another reference to Disney. Also Mufasa, the lion, and as we'll see, the lion is in an imagery in number 11 in the Wild Unknown, or Arcana Trump 11, Major Arcana Trump 11 in the Wild Unknown tarot deck. Also, you know, symbology of a lion is prevalent in Trump 8, which 8 and 11 are closely tied. So there's references to the rest of the album in here as well, and other tarot cards. So let's keep going.
Pilgrimage to Mecca, work the sand like I was like the Dolly through the Samsara. Pilgrimage to Mecca, looking like the stairway up to heaven's getting longer. Listening to the Reverend and the Moolah and the Llama. Got me flowing like the Dolly through the Samsara.
Pilgrimage to Mecca, work the sand like I was Gara. No weapon formed against me gonna prosper, got that monster. All right, so listening to the Reverend and the Moolah and the Llama got me flowing like the Dolly through the Samsara. All right, so listening to all these different spiritual leaders and studying all these different spiritual texts and things got me flowing like the Dolly, you know, the Reverend and the Moolah and the Llama. So I want to combine Dolly, Llama, right? I want to do a play on words. Got me flowing like the Dolly through the Samsara, right? So like Dolly is like an enlightened one. Through the Samsara, right? The sea of suffering. So once again, okay, OKC. Pilgrimage to Mecca. Let's see, did we get to there?
Studio.
Yeah, we did. So Pilgrimage to Mecca, worked the same like I was Gaara. Gaara from the anime Naruto. And he had one of the tailed beasts or elemental demon powers within him, and he was able to control sand. So pilgrimage to Mecca, that's the pilgrimage for once again, it's a reference to like Muslims. They're doing the holy pilgrimage to Mecca, and there's sand, of course, in that place, and the Kaaba. So work the sand like I was Gaara. Let's keep going. Now once again, so like Gaara was like seen as a monster as well. So I wanted to tie that symbology in there. And all the tailed beasts in Naruto, of course, all the Biju, they call them Biju, they're all seen as monsters, right? So something I picked up from pop culture and the subconscious there.
Stairway up to heaven's getting longer. Listening to the Reverend and the Mullah and the Lama. Got me flowing like the Dolly through the Samsara. Pilgrimage to Mecca, work the sand like I was Gaara. No weapon formed against me, gonna prosper, got that monster. Studio like Ghibli, keep producing all these monsters.
Yes, sir.
Got the sticky with me and it's looking like a monster.
Yes, sir. So no weapon formed against me, gonna prosper, got that monster. Studio like Ghibli, keep producing all these monsters. Got the sticky with me and it's looking like a monster. So monster, right? So that's a reference to, of course, the Bible quote, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against me in judgment shall be condemned. For this is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and that righteousness is in me, saith the Lord. Amen. So that's a reference there, right? For that type of powerful prayer or something, that power has got to be pretty monstrous, right? Pretty strong. And no weapon formed against me gonna prosper, got that monster. Studio like Ghibli, keep producing all these monsters. Shout out to Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki, man, fucking legends. And is producing lots of like monster kid movies, like Disney type kid movies, Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle, My Neighbor Totoro, Ponyo the Sea. There's some, and the most recent one I think was The Boy and the Heron, right? Which the Heron's actually tied to Egyptian stuff. So an interesting synchronicity in there that I didn't know they're releasing that movie this year when I made this track. And so a new Hayao Miyazaki movie after I made this track and referenced him. And he's supposed to be retired, but he can't stop. He's a legend. So it's almost like a monster. I was watching a documentary about him, and they were saying how he works with younger people, and he loves to challenge himself, but he always ends up challenging them more. And the movie, I believe, was called The Never Ending Man, and it's talking about how he almost works with these younger people, and it's like there's the energy exchange. If he charges them up, they charge him up, and keeps him going. So I thought that was dope. I wanted to throw that in there to that legend. And let's keep going. So with these studio, that Studio Ghibli, we keep producing all these monsters, man. The albums we put out last time, Cloud Forms, SS1, Top Floor, Young Bears, OKC, my OKC, all fucking monsters. So let's keep going. Hunting for some commas, used to hunt off all the monsters. On the place that producing all these monsters. Got the sticky with me and it's looking like a monster. So got the sticky with me and it's looking like a monster. Okay, double entendre there. Sticky, a firearm, and then also sticky the tree. So when they both looking like monsters. Hunting for some commas, used to hunt off all the monsters. Yes, sir. On the PlayStation while avoiding all my trauma. Come on. So hunting for some commas, used to hunt off all the monsters on the PlayStation while avoiding all my trauma. Woo! Come on. So as you can imagine, video games coming up in the video game era, just like TV and radio and all kinds of things. There's ways for us to almost like a form of escapism and a way to escape hard situations and avoid traumas in certain ways, all right? So, I used to do that. I used to hunt for some commas. I used to hunt off for the monsters on the PlayStation, Monster Hunter, the game on PlayStation. On the PlayStation while avoiding all my trauma, it's hours and hours on the video games. And not that there's nothing wrong with that. For anybody, if you're a gamer out there, man, you like whatever you like, we all got our thing, We all got the stuff that we like to fade away into to forget the world at times and get like grander visions and things. So this is just my reflection on where I've been at times in my life. Well, I'm reflecting on, and I was like, now I'm hunting for the commas. It's like a game, like I was hunting for the monsters. Now it's a game, hunting for these commas and putting this art together and, figuring out a way to capture that. So let's keep going. Faded mindset got me moving like a monster. Speaking at Medusa, that Minerva, that Wakanda. Told them on the last one, I'm a menace, yeah, a monster. Mind over matter, metaphysics, that's the monster, yeah. Let me tell you about this trauma, turn me to a monster, yeah. I ain't been the same since they took my mom and papa. Woo! I ain't been... Yeah, let me tell. So this verse, we get into like trauma points in my life and things where I reflecting on that I was like, man, this had really changed me, right? So lots of monster symbology. Once again, all these characters, Scrooge, Hoffa, all these different things, right? Continuing this conquest that we started in the Emperor. I'm a monster. I'm motivated, right? And it's just all of these things, that are now the trauma that turns us into monsters, right? And everything like that. So we're gonna get into that and how it going through a dark night of the soul, going through traumas, going through experiences, they ultimately change us. It's a chemical process, like an alchemical process that really changes us on the inside. You can imagine if you've had traumatic injuries in your life or things, usually you're a little bit different after those, right? So these are just things that have created us in the ferment of life and gave us certain outlooks. So let's keep going.
Mind over matter, metaphysics, that's the mantra. Let me tell you about this trauma.
Turn me to a monster, yeah.
I ain't been the same since they took my mom and papa.
Yeah.
I ain't been the same.
So I've been the same since they took my mom and papa. So rest in power, but my mom and pop, they passed in 2019. And if you've ever lost a parent or someone close to you, then you know just what that does to you and how that changes you on the inside. So let's keep going.
The planes hit the towers. I ain't been the same since they came for summer.
Yeah, so I ain't been the same since them planes hit the towers. I ain't been the same since they came for summer. Okay, so once again, losing parents, especially like the themes of this album, it's I couldn't have made this album without them, all the experiences, throughout life. So it's like very personal in that regard. I wanted to just put that out there, let them know like without all the stuff we went through in life, wouldn't have been able to make this beautiful work of art. So very grateful to them. I want to throw that nod in there. Let them know how much their passing impacted me and continues to impact me. And I ain't been the same since them planes hit the towers. So I was born on 9/11. 11 years before 9/11, okay, 11 tracks on the album. And so I remember vividly, as I'm sure many others do, on the day that happened, they like wheeled this old TV into the classroom of fifth graders. I was in fifth grade. And it was like, we were all watching this thing. I don't think any of us really fully comprehended what it was. I probably thought it was a movie. And I think we realized the severity of it as I started to explain it. And later on, I said, these are real images. You can imagine it as a whole classroom of kids. And across the world, at least in America, I'm sure people were watching these things in real time. It was real history, watching the planes at the towers, the Twin Towers in New York City, everything come down. And, George Bush in the classroom as well, which was very interesting, who was the president of the United States at that time. So, that was a very traumatic experience for, of course, the nation and the world. We launched, obviously from that, we've launched several wars from the American Empire, going into Afghanistan, Iraq, the Middle East even more heavily than we already were involved there, and just escalated the Patriot Act and surveillance state that we're in now. So, haven't been the same since the planes hit the towers and just all the death and violence on the screen, the documentaries that came out, Fahrenheit, whatever, 9/11, 451, like all the shit that we saw, just, the monstrosities of war. And going to, Mr. Duquette's Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot, this is significant of and like very reminiscent of the Age of Osiris, or the formula of the dying god, right? In which man discovered that after the Age of Isis, which like woman was seen as the god because it was only thought that life would come from her and her cycles followed the moon and the things of that nature. And then men discovered that they had a part in the creation process as well. And so then there was a backlash and they became very powerful. And then they found out that death was actually the secret male creative god, because when there is, as you know, fertilizer on the ground, right, or feces, that things grow, same with blood. And so that was why there were a lot of sacrifices and things, and still in the world today is why we still see a lot of conflicts and things. So that as well is symbolic of that. The Twin Towers, which you see in a lot of the cards, 11 being the number of the child and magical expansion. It's like a signification that we are in this eon and moving forward. And these are the traumas that are changing us as a species and as a spiritual race in this new eon. So let's keep moving forward.
All the death and violence on the screen, it gave me trauma.
Yeah.
All the death and violence on the street,
It gave me trauma. Woo!
Rocking back and forth
Up on the boat, it gave me trauma.
Please don't rock my boat.
I'm working hard to tame the monster. Woo! So, all the death and violence on the screen, it gave me trauma. It's all the death and violence we're privy to. You think about all the video games, like TV, news, people getting shot, raped, killed, stabbed, all the shit, So just taking that in an unfiltered way gives you trauma, all death and violence in the street gave me trauma. All that violence in the street gave me trauma. Rocking back and forth up on the boat, it gave me trauma. So once again, rocking back and forth up on the boat, like we talk about confessions and through the middle passage where my masters got me rocking back and forth like it was on the boat. So once again, another nod back to track 2, and the woman becoming whole or man becoming whole in track 5. A reference to like the slave trade, the middle passage, and like epigenetics, who once again, my good friend artist, Dead Society Portrait by Nate, he put me onto a lot of the epigenetics stuff about how they're discovering now that traumas from like even your ancestors and past generation can actually be stored in your cellular memories. And so, it could put like certain races or peoples that went through certain things at like disadvantages in certain ways, because even though you didn't grow up a slave, you have the cellular memories of your ancestors that grew up a slave and grew up downtrodden. So, it pervades the subconscious mind and how you think about yourself, and if you're able to carry yourself in a free, conscious way. So all of the please don't rock my boat. I'm working hard to tame the monster, right? So it's like, yo, like, we all been there. You had them days, it's like, leave me alone. Like, don't, I'm working hard to tame the monster in me, the God in me, who is, as we know, is monstrous. I mean, look through the Bible, the biblical stories, the floods, the wars, the famines. If we only think God is one thing, light, good, positive, it's everything. So we have to accept it. Once again, Genghis Khan, who about 1/6 of the planet has his genetics, and he postulated that he was a punishment from God, and that if mankind had not created great sins, it would not have sent a punishment and a conqueror like him into the world to do what he's done. So, yeah, let's keep going.
I ain't been this trauma, rocking back and forth up on the boat, it gave me trauma. Please don't rock my boat, I'm working hard to tame the monster. I ain't been the same since election of Obama. Really thought that hope it changes due up on the roster. Now the only thing I hope for is to change personas. To a goblin, to a motherfucking monster.
Yeah. Got me moving like so. Yeah. I ain't been the same since election of Obama. Really thought that hope and change was due up on the roster. Now the only thing I hope for is to change personas. Goon to a goblin to a motherfucking monster, right? So the election of Obama in America, if you're in this country, and that was actually the first time I could vote. And, first black president and all this stuff, we're coming off of the George Bush presidencies, all the wars, the economy shit, the image of the U.S. around the world is shit. And so, here comes this charismatic young leader, African-American, first black president, seems to stand in opposition to everything that George Bush does. And, at this point in time, my knowledge of politics and things, not understanding special interests and corporations funding both parties, essentially, and the military-industrial complex, and how that really, essentially, the presidency and elected officials and stuff, as we can see now, we've seen many stories coming out about the stock trading issues and all of the corruption going on, right? Not understanding that at that time where I was at as an 18-year-old kid, having that hope and optimism, and then like the election happened, and then it's like, what the fuck, the shit didn't happen, the promises didn't get kept. Things actually got worse in a lot of ways for, minorities, quote unquote minorities and things. So it was like, really thought that hope and change was on the roster. And it's like, when you're expecting something and it's like, your hope is taken away. And that also, track 1, right? Home. All we wanted was a place that we could, strange fruit, yes indeed, we was left for dead. All we wanted was a place that we could rest our head. All we wanted was a place that we could call our home. All you gave us was some trauma in these mobile phones. So the mobile phones, Obama phones. And just everything that happened in that. During the Obama presidency, we actually increased bombings by drones in other countries that had never been increased before. No oversight over it. A lot of rights got taken away. So, it was this very on one hand, it was like, yeah, we've got the first black president. It seems to be progress in the world. And on the other hand, it was like things just moved backwards in such an interesting way. And then also, very interesting during that time, we had the vice president, Joe Biden, who is now the president. So I want to tie that in there as well. Let's keep moving forward on that. Oh yeah, it's going to a goblin to a motherfucking monster. So Lil Wayne, shout out to Lil Wayne, man, fucking legend. Fucking legend, bro. But he had that famous line, goon, okay, you're a goon, so what's a goon to a, okay, you're a goon, but what's a goon to a goblin? We be steady mobbing. Okay, what the fuck is up? Gucci Medellin, you know, shout out to Wade Gucci, that shit's fire. Okay, you're a Goomba, what's a goon to a goblin? You know, and shit, he probably said in a few songs. But anyway, I love Wayne, man. But yeah, so I'm like, you know, goon to a goblin to a motherfucking monster. Like, you know, what's a goon and goblin to a monster, right? So let's go.
So that Minerva, that Wakanda. Told her on the last Muhammad Menace, yeah, a monster. Mind over matter, metaphysics, that's the mantra. Mind over matter, metaphysics, that's the mantra. Haven't been the same since I read that Thomas Troward. Gave me tools to turn this mind into a fucking monster. Creative output, real essential, just like Willy Wonka.
Yeah, so let's find it here. We dove into it in episode 2. Mind over matter, metaphysics, that's the mantra. Haven't been the same since I read that Thomas Troward. Yes, sir, the Edinburgh and Door lectures on mental science, which my good brother, if you listen back to that second episode, he is also a 5. He put me onto this book. Shout out to my bro. And yeah, man, this right here, you know, there's that quote in there. So gave me tools to turn this mind into a fucking monster. Creative output, real essential, just like Willy Wonka. So once again, tying into pop culture and history and creative output, and Willy Wonka having a factory, creative factory, like there's a creative factory here. And so the Thomas Troward quote that always stuck with me. Let's see if I can bring it up for the subconscious storehouse. And like we did in the other one, but so, you know, my mind is the center of divine operation. The divine operation is always for expansion and fuller expression. And this means the production of something greater than and beyond what has gone before, something entirely new, not included in the past experience, though proceeding out of it by an orderly sequence of growth. Therefore, since the divine cannot change its inherent nature, it must operate in the same manner with me, within my special world, within and of which I am the center. Therefore, my mind, the center of divine operation, will move forward to produce, introduce, and attract new, more favorable conditions, always greater than and in advance of any that have gone before, and this is so. That affirmation right there changed my life 100%. I start to look at process of growth differently, trials, tribulations, struggles differently, but then knowing that my mind is the center of divine operation, that we're always attracting and producing newer, greater, bigger, better experiences. You know, nothing's forever. So that turns you to a monster, because you get that mindset on life and you can go far, you know. So yeah, and it turned me creative. Like, it turned my creative faculties. I really start to dive into shit that I was afraid to share before, and really dive into an artistic part of myself that I was afraid to be. So shout out to Thomas Troward. Shout out to my bro. Let's keep going.
Looking at the factory while reaching my nirvana. On the road to mastery while bending all the corners. Swerving past catastrophe while ashing marijuana. Working on the masterpiece, no limits to my own.
Woo! So cooking at the factory while reaching my nirvana. Once again, Charlie, you know, the chocolate factory, Willy Wonka, cooking at the factory while reaching my nirvana, cooking up all these hard ass fucking projects, helping my home, you know, we all cooking shit up. Cooking at the factory while reaching my nirvana, right? My divine peace. Cooking at the factory, reaching my nirvana.
Swerving past catastrophe while
ashing marijuana, yeah.
Real essential, just like Willy Wonka. Cooking at the factory while reaching
my nirvana.
On the road to mastery while
bending all these corners.
Swerving past catastrophe while
ashing marijuana. Yeah, so on the road to mastery while bending all these corners. Once again, you know, bending corners, bending the crookedness of man's life, right? Moving past catastrophe while bending all these corners. Once again, all the catastrophes we've had, that time, you know, wars, COVID, you know, the riots and things, now financial, like all the shit, right? Moving past catastrophe while ashing marijuana, right? Yeah.
Working on the masterpiece, no limits to my own.
Woo! Yeah, this is one of my favorite lines in the album. I don't know if a lot of people caught about working on the masterpiece, no limits to my aura. So shout out to Master P, No Limit Soldiers. You know, I combined that in there, working on the masterpiece, my magnum opus, no limits to my aura, right? So once again, Thomas Troward, let me know I'm limitless. And of course, the Eon of Horus, my aura is the Eon of the Crown and Conquering Child. And its signature is 11, and 11 is the number of magical expansion, right? The Twin Towers. So yeah, no limits to my aura. You know, we talking about everything. We rapping on every type of production, from boom bap to fucking more metal rock type shit to hardcore trap shit. We gonna get, so, you know, no limits to the aura. We doing all the shit. So
the track like magic, you might think I was an aura.
Woo!
Turn the studio and took in on the masterpiece, no limits to my aura. Work the track like magic, you might think I
I was an aura, yeah.
Turn the studio into the
House of Gryffindor, yeah.
Spelling with the words
It made me feel like Dumbledore. Woo! Calm just like a Jedi, but a monster with the four. Bam!
motivated mindset.
Yeah, man. So that's just like a big triumphant thing for me. Let's run that back.
I was an aura. Turn the studio into the house of swerving past catastrophe. Why? Turn the studio my aura. Work the track like magic. You might think I was an aura.
Yeah, so work the track like magic. You might think I was a aura. Okay, so we already talked about magic in one of the earlier ones. You might think I was an aura, like Harry Potter, the Aurors, all right? Those were the wizards who were like advanced and they hunted, the dark arts wizards. It was kind of like Secret Service, was good wizards or something. So I worked the track like magic. You might think I was an aura. Turned the studio into the House of Gryffindor, right? So once again, Harry Potter turned the studio into the House of Gryffindor. So Gryffindor was like the House of the Lion, right? So we talked about the lion's connection to the number 11 and 8, all right? So I'm just layering this shit. I don't know how many entendres it is, but he's starting to get in there. Like I said, in my mind, I had some of this stuff, like obviously Gryffindor and stuff, but I didn't connect some of the later Lion and thing connections to later. So let's keep going.
Turn the studio into the House of Gryffindor. Spelling with the words, it made me feel like Dumbledore. Woo! I'm just like a Jedi, but a monster with the Force.
Yeah. So spelling with the words, it made me feel like Dumbledore. So spelling, casting spells, I'm spelling words, and it's like art is magic. So spelling with these words, it made me feel like Dumbledore, and I've always been like, like Dumbledore, he was like quiet and reserved, but he could turn the fuck up when he needed to. Obviously one of the strongest wizards in the Harry Potter canon, so I find that reflected in myself as well. I'm a very common person when I get on the mic, fucking monster. So, I caught the reference in there. And calm just like a Jedi, but a monster with the Force, right? So calm just like a Jedi. Once again, Jedis, they use the Force. Once again, they calm the monster with the Force. So this was like really, this was like a really triumphant track for me. And it's like, once again, turning weakness into pain, turning weakness and pain into power, right? Trauma and pain into power, vulnerability into power, and recognizing that, I really wanted to end the third verse on like, this is how we came up, it's trauma, it's the plan, but it's like, you can still rise above and overcome it. Shout out to, once again, Thomas Troward, Edinburgh, and Dora Lectures on Mental Science, and he got more great books as well. But let's keep going, let's write out.
Motivated mindset got me moving like a monster. Speaking that Medusa, that Minerva, that Morgana. Told them on the last one, I'm a menace, yeah, a monster. Mind over matter, metaphysics, that's the mantra.
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard that. Quietly in the background, you say, let it run. Then quietly in the background, say another one. So this is technically tracks 1 through 5. I've been thinking about this in my mind a lot. And so, the album name is OK, C. So it's really a double album hidden in one. Once again, Twin Towers, 1-1, right? 11. I think you can play the album forward or backwards as well also. By how deeply layered this is and a lot of the synchronicities I caught and just how the story is. We'll get to it in the next track, actually. Anyway, so this ends the okay part. And so for me, this was like, okay, it's kind of like, and with the comma, it's like, okay, it's like something you're accepting. And it's like, okay, like it's what it is. And then C, with the exclamation point, it's more of like a verb now, like, okay, like C. So it's like, okay, it sets it up. And now we're going to dive into C, which is the final 6 tracks on the album. And, 5 and 6, once again, we're talking about 5 and 6 and how the 5, in the second episode of this, we were talking about from Understanding Aleister Crowley's Tarot, right, from Mr. Lon-Milo Duquette, right, how the 5 is nailed to the cross of the 6, right? So go back to there. You can dive into that one a bit more. But, this ends okay. And then we get into C, Okay, C. So, fam. This was Monster. It rides out from there. The beat sounds monstrous, too. It sounds like some Yeezy shit, man. I'm fucking with it. So, check in for the next one. We're going to be going into track 6. Gaslit. And this was Monster. Once again, you can stream the album now, OKC, out literally everywhere, including upcoming blockchain-based platforms. So, those can include Audius, Sound XYZ, among others. So, check it out. Go check out the shop. Go tap in with all of us. If any of this sounds interesting to you, please share it with a friend and everything like that. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. And on the next one, we're going to be getting into track 6, Gaslit from OKC. Low Vibe out.